In this video, I'm going to cover the cheapest ways to ship your goods for your business from China to your home country. Now, how I'm going to do this, I'm going to break it down into 3 different types of businesses. One is beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And I'll give you advice for each one. Starting with the first type of business, I call it the newbie business. You're just getting started, you're exploring markets, and you have no idea what you want to sell, or if your market is even a feasible one for what you want to actually start as a business. The first thing I'd recommend most people do if they're just starting out is to use a platform like AliExpress. They have already established shipping channels that make it very affordable for their products to be sold in your country. Now, granted, this is dependent on the country you're working in. For example, AliExpress has more warehouses in the US versus maybe some South American countries, and they already have those shipping relationships already set up. So let me just give you an example for what I mean by how cheap some of the shipping is here, and I'll explain why it is in a second. But if you're just getting started, you should use platforms like AliExpress or Alibaba. There are some exceptions that I'll go through in a little bit. So to find the cheapest shipping, you can go ahead and look for a product that you like on AliExpress. They have the reverse image search or the product search, and then you can see how much their shipping is. Now, I have this set up to be shipped to the US, and you can see it's free shipping. Now, I hate when they say free shipping because it's really not free shipping. In most cases, like let's say the product is like 50 cents really, and then they add on the shipping fee to that to be charged in the shipping. So let's say the product's like 50 cents when you actually source it, and then they say it's free shipping, but in reality, they're adding on the shipping cost to the product and just saying free shipping. Also, a lot of these companies that have an AliExpress account have some kind of a warehouse in the US. I'm just going for the US market. So they send their products in bulk to the US, and the shipping is pretty much negligible, especially for small items like this on the screen that you see, the mouse. That is very cheap to just send in a small little envelope to the end customer, and that's why they can afford this cheap shipping rates. Don't expect to start your business as a newbie starting from scratch and getting the same shipping prices as like Wish, Amazon, and AliExpress. It's not happening. Impossible. To do that, you're gonna need to open like a Chinese company, sign a contract with a courier service, and this contract, it will say each month I will fulfill a certain number of orders to be shipped to this country, and you give me the best price that's possible. Because you're starting out, that's not possible. So that's the first thing I would recommend if you're a newbie, is to go on AliExpress and just look for your product there and use their shipping channels. Oftentimes they have something called e-channel, and if it's a compact product, it takes maybe 1 week to a month to get to the customer. It ranges as well. Something else to consider for the cheapest shipping routes is Alibaba, the overseas version of 1688. Now, with Alibaba, the difference is you can simply, in the search bar, search for USA shipping or freight forwarder or whatever you want to put in there, and then you will get a bunch of options for USA shipping. Now, don't be fooled by the pricing here, okay? They're doing this to get your attention. Probably got your attention, right? 60 cents to ship to Canada and the US, right? But you get the point. Here you can see some suitable shipping channels that you can use for your business. Just be very transparent with them, because if you're telling them, hey, I want a very cheap price for the shipping, but you're only shipping like 2 products, they're going to tell you to kick rocks. You can see here there's some scenarios where they even have a minimum order weight limit. So to even offer you the best shipping, you're going to need to send at least 100 kilograms worth of stuff. And you're probably not going to do that if you're just starting out in the business, right? That's too much of an investment. So that's the first thing I recommend for newbies just starting. Use AliExpress or Alibaba. If you're really assistant and you found a product that maybe isn't on AliExpress or Alibaba and you customize it, there's another way you can handle shipping that is relatively cheap, but it's not the cheapest, because you can't compete with AliExpress or Amazon or Wish prices, because they have those logistics channels already set up. And that is a platform called Quides of 56. This is essentially like service for shipping your products from China to mainly the US market, but they can ship to all kinds of places. The downside is it's all in Chinese, but it's quite easy to register if you have a WeChat account. If you don't have a WeChat account, it's quite hard to register. So here, let me give you an example. If you go right here, this is estimates, right? And then you can kind of get an idea of how much it's going to cost. You may need to use Google Translate. So right now I'm on Google Chrome, and you might need to use Translate to figure out how much the product weighs and all that. But here you can select your country. So let's say USA, it's 10 kilograms. Let's just make it 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters, just make it easy. Then you get the pricing here in Chinese yuan. So divided by 7-ish, and that's how much you'll get in dollars. You can see it's kind of expensive, right? A lot of the times the shipping is more expensive than the product itself if you're not careful. So if you're a newbie just starting out, please do the fastest channels and do the research of how much the shipping costs from China to the USA before you're even getting into like the deeper ways to save on shipping. If you're getting value so far, please like and share this video with someone that may need to look for shipping channels for their business. But let's say you're at that level. You're at the second stage of a business. You're at like an intermediate level. You've been in business for 1 or 2 years. You've proven the market. You have established sales channels. You're good at marketing. You have quite some kind of a predictable revenue each month. In those situations, I wouldn't recommend you use Alibaba and AliExpress because they do cut on a lot of profits if you go deeper into sourcing directly from the Chinese supplier and shipping it from China to your end user. But with this method, like unlike the first newbie method where it can take 1 week to a month to get to your customer, which may not be acceptable, by the way, you have to take that in consideration. This method usually takes 1 or 2 weeks to get to your customer. But what is the logic? The logic is you buy inventory, whereas the first newbie method, you're usually not buying that much inventory. You're usually maybe like drop shipping one by one, which is very difficult to manage, by the way. But let's say you're buying inventory. Let's say you're buying 50 units of a specific product, and then you ship it to a warehouse or fulfillment center in China that already has those shipping channels established for very cheap shipping. Now, it is dependent on which country. So like some countries may have better shipping rates than other countries. But in this example, I'm just going to go with the USA. So there are platforms like Next Smart Ship. They essentially have warehouses around the world and also in China. And you just essentially send all your products to them and then they will sort it. Of course, you have to like label it properly to make sure it has the right code, barcode number and all that. And then it's like a virtual warehouse where you don't have to physically be there, but they'll manage it for you. You can actually connect their platform to your Shopify WooCommerce store directly. Same with AliExpress, by the way. That's why I recommend for newbies, just use AliExpress. It's easiest to integrate. But the difference here is that you buy directly from the supplier, let's say on 1688, you send it to this warehouse fulfillment center, and then they use their shipping channels to send to the end customer. So big difference here is that you're buying more upfront. You're taking more of a risk with the inventory, with the proven sales model, but it's almost 100% automatic. And it's a win-win here because you're getting the best price for the supplier, and then you're getting really good pricing with fulfillment centers in China because they most likely have hundreds, if not thousands of orders each month that they need to fulfill, and they can get you really good shipping rates. And if you're smart about it, if you have a Shopify or WooCommerce store, you can link it directly to their platform. So when you get an order on your Shopify store, it will automatically update in their system. It will give them the customer address, the name, their phone number, and then just ship the product and give the updates automatically on your website to the customer, which is good customer service, and then your customer will receive it. In this case, I would recommend you use a warehouse they have in China, but they also have warehouses worldwide that you may consider, which goes into my last point of the business. If you say you're at the very mature business phase where you have very predictable forecasts and you've been doing business for a long time, you can ship it in bulk to a local warehouse in your home country. So like Amazon FBA or like Next Smart Ship, they have one in the USA. You can even rent a warehouse yourself and run the operations of shipping, which would bring more overhead costs, but you have more control over the profit margins that way. Or like maybe you have a place, or maybe you can send it to your own house if it's a fairly small product and then just ship it out from your house. I know plenty of businesses that they just produce the product in their house and then they just ship it like each day. They just look at the orders and then just have UPS come pick it up or FedEx and send it to their customer. It's totally feasible business model and it's doable. But if you outsource it, then that's less legwork you have to deal with, returns and all that. The benefit of buying in bulk, if you're an established business in China directly from the supplier and then sending in bulk to the warehouse locally in your country, is that you can get more bang for your buck when it comes to shipping costs. So instead of paying, let's say $10 per kilogram, you might be paying like $2 per kilogram of products that you're actually shipping. And do note that with that logic, if you use a warehouse locally in your country, you can easily deal with refunds and returns. They're gonna happen. If you scale, they're gonna happen, I promise, where it's gonna be a pain in the butt to send the product back to China and try and get a refund. It's actually gonna be more expensive and you might just call it a sunk loss so that you don't have to deal with that. But if you have a warehouse locally, at least you can put it back in the shelf locally, and then the next order that comes in, you can just use that same product and send it to the customer, assuming they didn't destroy the product or damage it. Now, if you do want to take the shipping and sourcing into your own hands, I show you step by step how to use the Guizi 56 tutorial, which is a shipping agent in China that specializes in drop shipping. You can watch it in this video right here.